Welcome back to Physics of Gamification, the podcast where science meets behavior design. I'm your host, Hakan Uzer, co-founder of MotivaCraft. Every week, we grab one strange but brilliant law of physics and ask what it teaches us about engaging real people in systems, in platforms, in games, and in life. Today, we are talking about one of the strangest and most revealing concepts in all of quantum physics: wave-particle duality. Because your users, they are not just players, they are people. They are emotional and goal-driven at the same time. And your system needs to speak to both. Let's dive in. So, picture this in your mind. You fire particles of light, photons to be more precise, through two tiny slits. What happens? Well, if you are not looking, they behave like waves. They ripple, bend, interfere, overlap. Pure chaos. Beautiful patterns. But the second you observe them, boom, they collapse into particles. Clean, discrete, predictable. The same thing, acting in two totally different ways, based on how it's treated. That's quantum duality in action. And it's not just theoretical weirdness. Your users do this too. When you treat them like people, with moods, stories, purpose, they behave one way. When you treat them like players, focused, measurable, efficient, they behave another. So what if you want both? Let's break that down. Let's get something out of the way first. This isn't a debate between heart and hustle. It's not, should our users feel something or should they complete something? Because they're already doing both. And if you're not designing for both, you're leaving motivation on the table. We've all seen platforms that lean too far one way. The fuzzy feel-good ones that forget to ask anything of the user. The cold, efficient ones that get things done but leave people emotionally bankrupt. Real engagement is like a quantum duality. It's not either or. It's both at once. And here is the kicker. What you highlight, what you observe, tips the balance. Let me bring you into a real-world moment. We once built a learning system that let users choose their path. Some chased the leaderboard, others followed curiosity. Perfect balance, until the client started publishing weekly top 10 lists in bright lights. What do you think happened? Explorers stopped exploring. Everyone shifted into win mode. The emotional journey collapsed into task chasing. That leaderboard spotlight, it acted like an observation beam. It collapsed the user behavior into a single, measurable mode. And once the competition got old, engagement nosedived. Moral of the story? What you choose to highlight shapes what survives. So be careful where you point the spotlight. Alright, enough theory. Let's build something. Imagine your system like a hybrid vehicle with two gears. Wave gear for story, emotion, and identity. Particle gear for goals, actions, and progress. Now the question is, when are you letting the user glide, and when are you asking them to accelerate? Let's make this real. Start with a wave. Let users name their mission, choose a role, pick their why. That's where you catch the emotion. Then shift to particle. Now that they have chosen the journey, show them the steps. Give them a path. Reward momentum. It's not about juggling both at once. It's about knowing when to shift gears. We used this in an onboarding process. First, we asked them, what kind of explorer are you? Then, depending on their reply, we gave them their first mission. They begin as a person, then become a player, and the system speaks both languages. Now, What happens when one gear jams? We've seen systems that are too emotionally rich, all expression, no direction, and others that are so rigid, users forget they are even human. One case stands out. We worked with a productivity app that nailed task tracking. It knew what users did, but never asked why they did it. So we tried something small. Once a week, the system asked, "What did you feel proud of this week?" No points, no score, just reflection. What happened? Engagement went up. But not just for that, quality improved. Users reconnected with meaning. You don't always need big features to shift behavior. Sometimes you just need to signal, "We see the person here." That's quantum empathy. Alright, here's your thought exercise this week. Look at your system and ask yourself, where are the wave moments? Where are the particle moments? And are you giving users permission to flow between the two? If everything's tracked and measured, maybe you are collapsing their potential. If everything's open and unstructured, maybe they are floating with no gravity. Try nudging just one element, add a reflection question or a progress meter, and observe what shifts. You've been listening to Physics of Gamification, the low-budget, high-idea podcast where science meets gamification design. If today's episode sparked something, if you started seeing your users not as units, but as full-spectrum humans, share it. Send it to your gamification team, your content lead, your product manager. Because building better gamification systems start with seeing people clearly. Next week, we are talking about the relativity of time and why it's not how long users spend in your system that matters, but how long it feels. Until then, stay in the flow.